Well, hello everybody, and welcome to ARCANA SYNAXIS. This is episode 4 of ARCANA SYNAXIS, and it's a regular roundtable between myself, it's Frater Eleftheria, as well as Frater RC, Ike Baker, and Skylar Mathis. And yeah, we've been having a great time. I'm sure many of you know us by now. I can see people coming in on the chat, so that's great. So tonight we're going to be having another roundtable-ish discussion, and we're going to be focusing on personal experiences again. We're going to be having a focus on our magical diaries and some juicy bits from those. So that should be interesting. I can see the chat very clearly, so that's good. So as time goes on, keep making your comments, asking your questions, and we'll choose what to address and keep a track of that. So that's it. We're rolling. So perhaps I'll give people a chance to talk about what they want to discuss today. So is there anybody who would like to go?
Just jump into it. I suppose I'm prepared. I mean, so what we're doing today is sharing vignettes from our diary from the past, or something like that, of an experience that we had. And yeah, I don't mind just kicking off right into it. Without further ado, it might go shorter today. Sky has to get out early, so we'll see what happens. But we have lots of surprises in store for everyone, so stay tuned to the end for sure. But yeah, let's take you back to the dewy slopes of 1998 when I was in the grade of Practicus. And I chose an entry that at first I was going to choose a very wild entry from a diary, but then I was like, that might not be as useful or interesting to people. It might be more interesting to see a standard practice, a day in the life of a 3 = 8 Practicus in a large Golden Dawn temple. And so that is what I have selected for you. And it's a typical good night's work. It's not like I probably took looks like I took it says I started at 10:40 p.m. and went to 11:20 on a waning moon, 14th day of a waning moon. And I even noted Kera, Venus, Tesala, Mercury. So I was using my Key of Solomon that I got this beautiful old hardcover Key of Solomon Mathers translation at Bodhi Tree Books in LA. Shout out to everyone who remembers Bodhi Tree Books. Double shout out if you were ever accosted by that really tall Kramer from Frasier, who stalked the aisles looking for people to teach him black magic. So the rumors go. I never saw him there myself. So this is from March 26, 1998. I wrote underneath, robe, blue candle, Mercury talisman, and altar. And I was using this Solomonic Mercury talisman that I found which were things like that were very rare in those days, especially high quality produced ones were really rare, and they cost an arm and a leg, I would say. But then again, today people sell actually enchanted talismans, so it was nothing like that. But I really treasured this talisman eventually, and I do believe I ended up one day giving it to a close friend. But anyway, the diary then proceeds with point forms. 1, I perform the LBRP. 2, I perform the BRH, banishing ritual, the hexagram, and the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram. In those days, that was the standard sort of opening that we did before realizing that invoking was a better way to go most of the time. And then I prayed to the Lord of the universe, who I just adorably in my diary refer to as Latu, because you can't write Lord of the universe every single time. And then I vibrated the AMP, which is an advanced middle pillar, which we did with colors. I now no longer think that middle pillars should be done with colors unless you're doing it specifically for that operation. For example, if I was doing a specific operation, I could have tailored the middle pillar to this operation, but instead I was just using the queen scale colors, which a lot of you are probably familiar with. And it says, I took great joy in doing so as I vibrated the middle pillar. It was truly wonderful. It has been a while since I have truly appreciated the middle pillar. Yeah, after 4 or 5 years, it can get routine and ritualistic, shall we say. So this was one of those moments I marked, that it really, I felt like I was doing it for the first time sort of again. And it's one of those basics. I concentrated hard and on grounding everything in Malkut. I circulated 4 or 5 times, moving the energy up around my body, modern magic style. Quite a lot considering my recent records. So this interestingly tells me that I hadn't been doing that very much at this time. 4, now we get into it. I performed the lesser invoking ritual, the pentagram, invoking water. This is something my order did that is not standard GD practice. But our grade material got leaked online, and so Marco Visconti found it, thought that we had secret GD teachings, and published it in his book, thinking he had found the original GD practice, but what it actually was, innovations of one godfather of mine by the name of Zinc. But our spirits told us to do this, so it worked for us, and the rest is just part of humorous history, in the way that leaked grade material could be reinterpreted as lost original material, and I won't go on too much about that, but it is really funny. Instantly, I felt a liquid and truly watery current enter my room. I wavered slightly. I vibrated Elohim Tsavaot in the west with the 3 = 8 grade sign. I called to Gabriel. He came a moving figure, continual motion, unlike Oriel, who has the world as roots, and unlike Raphael, who by the force of all his continual thought cannot move, can only transmit. It's interesting that Raphael, for me, like, is so vibratory and so mercurial. Apparently, he just comes as this thing that can't move because he's moving too much, which I think is a really interesting observation. This is why we write diaries. It's so cool. I haven't read this diary since I wrote it, not this entry in particular. Gabriel is slow, younger in a sense. He is wise, yet rude in his actions. He said that he would bring me to purity. He said, the only way for me to resolve the difficulties with my mother, who has had those difficulties, is to become the balancing force and take the discordance and disequilibrium upon myself to balance. He said, to aid others, to heal, I must ask only to help. I finished the lesser ritual of the pentagram. So halfway through, after invoking the archangels, I communed with Gabriel, and that's what happened. And this is, of course, because I was in grade 11 at this time, living at home with my mom, single mother, and it was a stressful period, but also wonderful, of course. 5, I sat in the west, and viewing Apas, this is the water tattva, I vibrated 5 times each of the names of the hierarchy. By the 5th vibration of Marab, I could barely keep my eyes open. I closed them, and in automatic perfect clarity saw a black crescent and silver background. I slowly, with focus, was able to increase the crescent to the size of a doorway. This was harder than ever before. I entered Apas and called to me my guide. I won't say the name, who is basically my angel of the elemental water plane in Malkut, as I see it. I was, however, and for the first time, not in the Tatwa, but rather only perceiving it. My guide was my link and a way of effecting what I saw. She showed me to me a mother and a daughter unhappy. If I hid her, I saw her. Yeah, I saw her give them bread and water, and they were happy. I saw then a machine of production that was not running. I had my guide throw a switch and begin once again to produce. The feeling of tiredness pervaded me then and now, like all the element is calling me to sleep. She showed me a friend and showed me to offer that friend help. I'll skip that a little bit. But my friend would not accept help, even though the spirit that was guiding me offered her the help. This is all in the vision state, right? And asked what more she described. Now, my friend admitted to needing help with my guide's agreement and with, can't read that word. Sometimes you can't read the words. Write clearly, people. I left Apes, for I had done enough for now. All I could for now. I must make my being suitable vessel for the fires of Netzach. My physical body moved slowly away from the west wall of my bedroom. The door shrank, and slowly once more became silver, and very slowly my eyes opened, and slowly consciousness returned. Banishing was very necessary. 6. I performed LBRP. 7. I performed a banishing ritual hexagram. Frater RC, 3 equals 8. GD. So yeah, I thought that was interesting because it shows the course of a general day's work and through the grade material that I was given, but how you can use that to confront actual things going on in your life and then discover insights into things you don't really understand at all in your life with a friend, for example. So, there's not too many details there because it's a personal diary entry, but I think it might be, I think a lot of the times people, think they're just going through the motions, but what's the point? Well, the point is massive. All of this stuff was drastically connected to my daily life, and doing this work helped me gain constant insight, constant equilibrium, and yeah, and just then there's other qualities. So I don't know. We can talk about it. That in general is sort of that's the diary entry. I didn't want to pull up a crazy one that seemed overly sensational and just something like a regular, hour of ritual working for me in practice. So there you go. Cheers.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Frater RC, for that. That was quite insightful, and it's amazing that you were working the 3/8 material in year 11, I think you said. Um, yeah, so that's really interesting. So there was obviously a lot of visionary stuff that came through there in terms of seeing different angels, and it's interesting how they each have their own qualities, which of course you'd expect, but it's always interesting to see that in a vision. And then the way that they helped you out in your life, again, very will be quite familiar for angelic magic, but the fact that they can help you out with things of that nature as well is quite interesting as well, because we usually they can sometimes be a bit more obtuse than that. So that's really cool that you got that result. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, is there so that result that you got, you said you had a talisman of Mercury from the Key of Solomon, the greater Key of Solomon.
Yeah, I
Then,
hadn't consecrated. I was just consecrating it through using it in the grade of practicus, which is of course a mercurial grade connected with Hode, but also an elementally water grade.
yeah. And you said you did the banishings, and then you did the middle pillar, and so it was the middle pillar that brought on the visionary experiences.
No, after the middle pillar and the circulation of light, then I did an invoking ritual, the pentagram, and then after saying, before me Raphael, behind me Gabriel, to my right hand Michael, to my left hand Oriel. After that, then I circumambulated to the west, did the elemental grade sign of water, and called to Gabriel. And sometimes I'll do an invocation, but sometimes I can communicate pretty easily. And yeah, I got that advice there from the angel. This was something we did a lot in the order and the temple, especially. I mean, I don't know how much actually in the order it was done, but in the temple I was trained in, we did a lot of communing with the archangels in the middle of the lesser ritual, the pentagram. It's just another way of demonstrating how much that ritual can be in the scheme of things in our work, right? It's very flexible. And why wouldn't you stop after that evocation of the archangels, then go and talk to the archangel as it lives in your sphere and gain guidance? And I would get tremendous advice from it, especially I would ask about everything from how I was, how I was handling my school load, my schoolwork, because I was, my rule was I could go to I could only do Golden Dawn training if I got all my homework done first, right? So it did lead to me becoming a plus student, but that also added extra pressure because once you get to that level, you want to maintain it. And so that's kind of hell on earth that you create for yourself. And it didn't lead to any like special access after I got out of high school. Like, yeah, it's true. You can mess around in high school. It's not going to mess up your life.
Yeah, well, that's it's fantastic, and it's interesting to me because in my initiatory background of the OTO and the AA, the banishing rituals are emphasized a lot more for like clearing a space and everything, but we never really learnt what to do with the invoking pentagrams, except maybe as a way of testing the spirits. So the fact that you're using that in the Golden Dawn practice as an actual way of invoking the angels, which is what it says it does, and then using it quite effectively is very interesting. So yeah, I've learned something here today, so that's great.
Yeah, like sometimes, if you're doing like a artificial or microcosmic elemental sort of working where you're calling on the names of God to use an element to assist you, right? Why not stop midway through an LIRP and talk to the archangel, do your grade sign or whatever, and get them, and then have them do it with you. It's a good exercise for many aspects of from our fantasia to our nous to our ability to conduct and move with the energy of the spirits around us and living nature.
Yeah, for sure. Does anybody else have anything to add? Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I'd like to. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Cool. Did it, as you're moving through the order with this sort of communing, did it take some time? I can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? Ike,
can you guys hear Sky?
Shit. I can hear you, but there's a bit of a delay and an echo. So anyway, keep going. We'll see how we go.
Yeah, if he needs, if you guys re-ask if he can't hear me. I'm curious about as he's moving toward with this sort of communing, how long, as a developmental process before he has he always sort of these sort of results. Did it vary? Was there a point at which he became proficient at this sort of thing, or at least he did results? Did it take time working toward this? That's kind of my question. And so he might not be able to hear me, but you guys heard me. We could relay that to him.
Did you catch that, Frater RC?
No, I think my headphones temporarily disconnected. I just got them reconnected. Sorry about that, Sky.
No worries.
Computer. Still figuring it out. I'm sure it was an amazing thing you said.
I think, yeah, it was a question, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sky, but basically the thrust of it was there a certain amount of time where you developed a certain proficiency in the practice to be able to get that kind of a result? Is that more or less it, Scott?
Yeah. Oh, it's a question for me. Cool. Well, I got initiated into yoga at 7 and started meditating twice a day. And then I got the adult initiation at 10, where you get your sitting mantra. And so 8 years of meditating before I got into Golden Dawn ritual work at 14, 15, and initiated into Neophyte when I was 15. This November at ARCANA actually will be that weekend will be the 30th year anniversary of my Neophyte initiation at Temple Tahuti. So that's pretty cool. I think, sorry about that. Hope you can't hear that in the background. I should turn my phone off. Yeah, practice. I mean, I was doing ritual work. I was doing the Golden Dawn. By the time of that diary entry, I had been doing the Golden Dawn ritual work every day, a lot, for 4 years. I was doing all the Golden Dawn stuff before I joined the temple, and when I joined the temple, like, okay, just do the LRP and the LBRP and the middle pillar, and then in Zelator I could do the LIRP and the middle pillar, and then a couple other rituals that they had created, because of course the original order didn't have that much for the outer order, so we had some special little rituals and techniques we created.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you again. There we go.
Can you hear me, Ike Eleftheria?
That's so strange. I can't hear
you. I can hear you, buddy. You sound like you're in a tin can, but I can hear you.
I tried switching. I'm trying to correct the issue. I apologize.
It's all right. It's better than before. Yeah, it's better than before, because what was going on is there was a latency or something like that, and you had like this interrupting delay.
Okay.
It's kind of cool. It was kind of trippy. It was like a Pink Floyd Segway track.
All right. Well,
I just turned off your echo cancellation, Sky. Do you want to talk again, see if that fixes it?
Hear me?
He's
Testing.
talking.
1, 2.
Oh.
Talking.
Well, we can pretend that you're a caller and this is like Art Bell or something.
Yeah. Okay, let me try this thing real quick.
That's good.
All right, how about, is this any better?
No, who gives you shit?
Just shit.
We just got all to be able to hear each other.
That's so weird that I can hear you guys, but not Sky at all. Yeah.
Maybe you see, like, this is something that I would have recorded in my journal. Like, oh, Sky and Frater RC is not meant to answer Sky's questions tonight. Yeah.
Well.
All right. Well, once again, we have a tremendous amount of noise from fucking Looney Tunes in the peanut gallery this evening. Please do everyone and yourself a favor and go to sleep. Just go to bed, for fuck's sake.
I think perhaps there's a few bots coming into the chat. It's the rage bait comments and the username followed by random numbers and letters is always a giveaway. But
it's Russia. They're Russian bots.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Alexander Dugan is sending his bot swarm.
Yeah.
Rival occultists. They must be stopped.
Yeah. Occultists in general must be stopped. But the thing is that they don't do anything in general. Anyway, I'm going to just read off some of my shit because why not?
Go ahead.
Let's get out of the way and let's keep the ball in the air here. I balked at the request to unveil something that is, to me, my magical journals are in effect a personal history that is close to my chest as say my Mars sword. It's not something I broadcast, but I went through a couple of things. I didn't really even know exactly what the task was today until I texted Sky. I'm like, wait, what are we doing tonight? But that's me. So I got a couple of things here that I'll read from, but they're short. And I'm glad that I picked these little weird things that I recorded, because if I had just kind of done exactly which is 95% of my journals are exactly what RC just read. If I had gone through that, it would have been just too redundant. Our work is, obviously very much the same, particularly in the outer order. So there's three things I'm going to read from. I'm going to read from my adept, my ZAM, my Zelator Adeptus Minor journal. Okay, just a little snippet to see what my brain was doing back then, a couple years ago. I also have my dream journal, and then I've got my portal thesis. And I don't think I'm not sure that every GD order does this, but effectively you go through the outer order, and then once you hit the portal degree, there's not a whole lot to be doing. There's a couple of exercises. Effectively, you're moved to the path of Samek and out of a Sphera, and you're just kind of hanging in this liminal state in the middle of a path right? So once again, you're in this probationary degree, similar to the neophyte, when you're not on the tree in the neophyte. Okay, so one of the things, really the main work, at least in our order, which for anybody that's listening, it's, you know, it's the Regardie Cicero lineage of the HOGD. We have to write a thesis. And that's the whole thing. And that's what, you know, they've been telling us for years. You're going to need your fucking journal. So make sure you write things down. And then, you go through it and you kind of got to talk about each ritual that you went through. You got to describe it. What was your experience from inside the ritual? You know, from you got to use notes to recall a lot of that stuff. Some of that stuff you don't. Then you describe your experience in the grade. And so your experience in the grade, right, depending on how long you stayed in the outer order, I was just under 3 years from neophyte to 5-6. And I did have to reach back and look at a lot of my journals. They really teach you so much about like connecting the dots, especially when you're going through something like the outer order, the Golden Dawn, where there's a spiritual alchemy. So the thing that I found in my portal was that, and you know, this thesis is read by the chiefs of your temple and the chiefs of the order. So this I knew the entire time this was going to Chicken Tabby. So this was actually the first thing I pulled, because I'm like, hey, you know, it's kind of already public. You know, it was more public than my other journals. I want to talk. RC talked a little bit about this relationship between the Fantasticon and the Nous. For anybody that's not familiar with that terminology, they're primarily Neoplatonic, and some of them sometimes used in Nous certainly used in the Hermetica, because they were effectively two traditions that were in communication with each other. But there's this link that begins to sort of stimulate to activity, right? We talk a lot about how there's a big difference between mediumism and psychism and what we do in the Golden Dawn. But at the end of the day, when you read all the inner order papers and you see exactly what they were doing, the magic was making them psychic. That's exactly what the magic was training. You were training to become a psychic. And not just a psychic where it's like, oh, I'm communing with the dead. That's fun. But more so to awaken these interior faculties, the Fantasticon, the imaginal faculty. Now, the imaginal faculty particularly, not as something necessarily creative, not or strictly creative, but as something receptive. Learning to use that organ that you have naturally, that is a power of your soul, as an instrument of spiritual perception. A lot of danger here. A lot of danger here, because there's a lot of delusion. There's also a lot of like personal gaslighting. There's also a lot of, I don't know what this is. How am I able in the phenomenology of this to recognize something that is genuinely appearing to me and something that I am making up? And I talk about this a lot because it's a big part of my experience. And I know that a lot of people are out there in this in-between state, struggling with the togglings, trying to figure this stuff out. So I just so happened to come across, you know, I wrote this back up probably like 2017, 2018. I'm going to read it and skip around a little bit. Okay. This was when I first began to realize what was, you know, what was going on in the Fantasticon, the eye of my mind. So here we go. An important recollection, although I could not find it written in my journals, is the first time I recognized that I had not had a thought, but something like a vision. It wasn't a perfect image, but a distorted one of a toy from a memory from my preteens. I didn't have the vision so much as it appeared to me. I could look at it the way I could look at a picture. This was very mysterious to me at the time, and I deliberated over it in my thoughts for many days, even on into further grades. This is the neophyte grade chapter. I deliberated over it in my thoughts. The toy's appearance in my mind's eye was of much less significance than my experience and acknowledgement of this distorted memory. This was the first time I had become, quote, unstuck from the images in my mind's eye. It did not appear to me the same way my closed eyes visualizations did in meditation. It was a flash in my mind while my eyes were open in waking consciousness. It took on a quality which I cannot articulate succinctly, but can only describe as a kind of liquid flash, like light reflecting off of cellophane. So now I'm going to skip over just to a page here. About 3.5 months into the grade, I began feeling very strong senses of presence in my bedroom. One night of no particularly special quality, I woke up in a sense of pure dread, barely able to lift my head up off the pillow, and I was starting to panic. I looked across my room, and in the darkness, I saw 2 cloaked figures standing side by side near my door. It may be worth noting that at this time, I had been performing all of my spiritual exercises, meditation, ritual, etc., in this very room. The figure on my left was shorter and female and wearing a dark blue cloak which enveloped her entire body and extended up her neck. Capitulating in a large turban-looking hood, the figure next to her on my right was a taller male wearing a dark green cloak in the same style. Their faces had absolutely no expression, and they stared intently at me. Oddly, they appeared to me in a similar kind of fluidic, flashing type of cellophane appearance as the vision of my toy, except rather than seeing it while awake in my mind's eye, as I would a daydream, this vision was projected out into physical space. Except it didn't seem to partake entirely of the physical characteristics of reality. There was a 2-dimensional quality about it. I wasn't terrified, but slightly confused. So I decided to roll over and go back to sleep. So that's that there. And the 2 other things that I have here that are related, that are much shorter than that. I want to read from the Dream Journal since that ties into a little bit here. First of all, this is such a charming introduction. I prefaced my Dream Journal, I think, later on, right? Because I'm like really honest about my dreams in this. Like, no, you can't. It's pointless to have these journals and not be like naked in them. But so like if this ever like fell into somebody else's hand, like a distant relative or something, there might be some fucked up stuff in here. So I wrote to any potential future reader, understand that in order for this journal to serve its designed purpose as a scientific record, quote unquote, I required full honesty as to the contents and machinations of my conscious and unconscious mind. Therefore, remember my utter humanness and judge me not too severely. This is not a complete record of who I am, and therefore an incomplete picture of the man. Strive rather to see in what ways we were bound by our humanity in similarity. I thank you for it. So here's what I wanted to read from that. In analyzing our own dreams, or really recalling and recording them over time with diligence, we may perhaps come to perceive our own dream language in the recurring imagery and emotional content of them. We may begin to intuit meaning and begin to read the dream cipher to discover potent, even urgent messages from the deep self, that ancient mind whose abode is darkness and silence, and whose tidal nature is as the depths of the abundant receptive sea, and whose only language is symbol. So these are sort of, it's funny because like I'm inundated with all this stuff, all this crazy shit on Instagram and YouTube, and it's all sorts of stuff. And I'm hearing a lot of people talk about stuff that I've been talking about for a really long time, and it has nothing to do with me necessarily. There's something in the collective consciousness, but I tend to, with all the flash of images in Instagram accounts, I struggle to think like, what like, did I get this from fucking Teal Swan or something? Like, where did I get, it's like, she's talking about it now, but I've like been giving classes on it for, like, how did this happen? And I go back into my journals, which was a fantastic exercise. So thank you, Eleftheria. And, I see that, no, I have recordings of coming to these fucking conclusions completely organically. of my own accord. In initiatory situations, then yes, people are writing. Yes, I do. I handwrite everything in nice. I use a fountain pen with a calligraphy nib and ink cartridges. I recommend everybody strive to write beautifully. Anyway, so I think I've gone on too long, so I'm going to skip my my adept journal here. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys have some thoughts.
Well, yeah, thanks, Ike, for sharing that. Those are some amazing visionary experiences. And what stood out for me is the fact that you saw something in waking life that was almost like an apparition, you could say, or like a dream while awake. Whereas usually the visionary experience, it's like you've got your eyes closed. It's like you're entering a daydream. But this was, to see something like that is very rare. So that must have been quite the experience. And I just wondered, out of curiosity, if you can share, whether you then analyzed the meaning of those robed figures and them appearing at the in your space when they did. So one thing that comes to mind is that the colors of the robes might have some significance, and
Sure, yeah.
as an initiative of the Golden Dawn, you would associate certain colors with certain planets. Was there anything going through your head like that when you were trying to interpret the meaning of the vision?
Well, there's a little piece of information that I left out, and their faces were the two temple chiefs that had initiated me. They were looking at me over my bed, and I kind of, it wasn't until years later that I read in, I think, Psychic Self-Defense or some other Dion Fortune work that Golden Dawn chiefs will vet people in this kind of way. And I kind of danced around it with them because it was so above my fucking pay grade, to even begin to understand that I didn't really get a whole lot out of it. But I do know that the premonstrator, while she was with the temple, was absolutely brilliant. Still to this day, I didn't have much time with her. One of the most brilliant magicians I had ever encountered in just that short period of time. She made me do an LBRP, and for like the first time, in front of anybody. I was still a neophyte. And she told me exactly how I was visualizing these things, down to the point where, like, at that time, I didn't know which symbol belonged in the East. Should it be the rose or should it be the caduceus? I don't know what Raphael should be holding. So I pictured him with nothing. And she looked at me, and I didn't tell her any of this. And she looked at me, she's like, why doesn't he have an implement? So it's not beyond the scope of possibility that they were vetting me in sort of the, the legendary classical Golden Dawn style, where they're kind of will appear to you in a dream or dreamlike state or something like that. But I don't know that for a fact. Now, I have these experiences all the time, even still. I've had to learn to control them because if you sort of revel in it, if you glory in it, even a morbid curiosity will, I think, personally make you go nuts. You will become unfucking hinged. Okay. That's been my experience of it. There's things that I don't want to experience. So what I've done lately is that I used to use the intellect and turn my wheels. And what does this mean? Was it once I hit practicus and all the shit just busted wide open? It was like somebody kicked a fucking hole in my pineal gland and just, everything kind of and I had visions of like following this little old lady around like on a sidewalk. It looked like it was the 80s. So it's like what you got to understand when you're like learning this stuff and all this stuff is opening up. It's not fucking important. It's not important to know what the vision means. There are things that you will never know what it means. You'll never be able to interpret some of this stuff when you're like trying to kickstart or jumpstart this whole, fantasticon nous communication, the higher parts of your soul that are aware and constantly stand in the presence of all these intelligences. And the process of that awareness finding a way to show you in vision, because the only way Ike down here, the little the little cave troll who has his little cravings and aversions, that's the only way I can understand that stuff is through an image. But certainly what, and this is a cap on it because it's a really good question. What happens now is that I pray for an answer and I wait to be guided, and then usually in that 360-degree omnidirectional view that I have from within the inside of my sphere of sensation that we all have, I wait for an omen in the magical mirror of my universe. And in this way, the diamond speaks to me. And here's the thing, and this is the last thing I want to end on here for this. I tell this to everybody. My dumb ass is on a need to know basis. Okay, so I don't get the full picture. It's just here because the higher aspect of my spiritual architecture knows that I can't fucking handle it. I'll fumble the ball. I have shaky hands. So I'm on a need to know basis with my diamond, but it's certainly when I relax and sort of follow the promptings that it's all kind of revealed. Like, oh, like for instance, we moved to Asheville, loved it, fell absolutely in love with this place. I've never been in love with a place like that. We ended up getting priced out of being able to buy a house there. So we were stuck. And this was when, like, you know, whatever it is, BlackRock or Blackstone, they were buying up all those apartment complexes. The interest rates were above 7%. We're like, we just need to get into a house before we're stuck in an apartment for the rest of our lives. It's fine for some people. We didn't want that. So we end up going through this really quick and crazy and dizzying experience. And the first real estate agent we come across, her name is Angela. Okay. And she's very much, you know, just kind of a go-getter. You go finding all this. She finds us this place out in the country and then doesn't want us to submit an offer, even though it's within our wheelhouse. We get to be all the way out, and with the Amish, you know, we had nobody. Then, so since she didn't want us to, we found another real estate agent, and her name was Angel. And she helped us move in. Boom, bim, bam. We got the house. It was like, oh my God, this is incredible. There were like 10 other offers. And then the first month we were there, it's probably like the second week, I want to say, we get a knock on the door at like 3 a.m. Of course, I jump up completely naked. I grab my gun. I'm like, we're in the middle of nowhere. No one should be knocking on this fucking door. So I get to the door, and there's this lady just standing outside asking me if I could take her to the hospital. Turns out she was like off her meds. The cops knew who she was. They explained to me like, oh yeah, that's just Angie. I don't know how she got to your house. She lives 8.5 miles away, and she appears to be on foot with no shoes. So, we always, you know, Nicole and I were always wondering, like, what's the significance of Angela, Angel, Angie? What is this? And then, of course, Helene hit and destroyed most of Asheville. And I watched a lot of my friends suffer and lose a lot of their property. And I don't know that Nicole and I are made of the same stuff as those sturdy Appalachian folk out there. So I've come to the point now where I realize, like, we were moved out of harm's way.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible story. And it's always funny how, you know, you have the little breadcrumbs that whatever is guiding that process leaves you the little synchronicities, so you know that something else is kind of manipulating things behind the scenes. Well, not manipulating, it's got some negative connotations, but you know, there's a process of order behind that. So yeah, that's great. Does anybody else have anything else to comment on that? I did have another question or comment, but it's got to come back to me, so I might just throw to the others.
I was very interested to hear about the major paper you write in Portal. I would have liked to have gotten to choose. We had one assigned. Everyone had to write a large paper on the Gospel of John. But I really enjoyed that, you know, because for Philosophists, I had to submit papers to get into Portal on the Hermetic Arcanum, the Eshmet Sadaf, and the Chaldean oracles, of course, and then for Portal, I had to write on the Gospel of John. I had to do another paper as well, but that was we didn't going out of Philosophus wasn't when we tested on all the outer order grade material. We actually no, that was when I can't actually. It's so long ago. It's so long ago. It's been almost 30 years. Anyway, yeah, I think I was really great to hear that story and what a wild house hunting experience. I mean, was there magic involved to get it over all the other bidders, or how did you pull that off?
I don't
know
do
it seems
I don't do magic for that. I don't you do magic to get ahead. I don't do it to get a job. It's just not me. But there was a lot of other shit going on. Divination. A lot of divination, a lot of prayer, guide me, you know, I was at that point where I had learned like the only way this
so
stuff,
magic,
this yeah, kind of, yeah, but the thing is it's magic staying in communication, you know, while not having to force the outcome I want. Although Nicole may disagree with me, I may have come across as kind of forceful and like, we need to get the fuck out of here, you know, like, type of thing. But yeah, there was a lot of divination, a lot of prayer, and trying to stay in that guided space. But yeah, I mean, I should have kept a journal about all that stuff. But yeah, it was really nice to look at the Portal thesis. You know, we just had to write about our experience and sum everything up. And then of course there's like the exploratio crucis, where you have to talk about the crosses as the admission badges. You have to do like a full paper on like sort of analyzing and discussing and drawing all of them. I think I did mine from like multiple angles, but we were in the outer order of the Golden Dawn in the HOGD, we hyper focus on the spiritual alchemy. And like, I didn't know anything about, you know, I didn't know that I was being read the Chaldean oracles in like, you know, Practicus. And, you know, I didn't know that nobody tells you, because it's like, at this point, you just need to be going through the fucking ritual. And then later, you know, we'll discuss this stuff. So it was a really personalized sort of thing, but I realized about halfway through it that I was becoming like, you could see the threads of like, I'm becoming a little obsessed with my own process. You know, I'm becoming a little obsessed. And I think that's where my temple chief at the time up in New York, not the premonstrator, but the imperator, go figure, really holding my balls to the wall, figuratively. And it's not that kind of, we weren't with zinc, but
I was gonna say, this isn't the Lima.
Yeah, no, but you know, and just taking me to task on just kind of like, listen, you have to have a really good, you have to have a firm understanding, not intellectually but practically, of the value of humility, because ultimately you're only doing this to serve. And that really ties into the message that you got. I can heal by offering to help, you know.
That's beautiful. I want to say, since you brought it up, 30 seconds to the person mentioned in the debate. No, that's, my head's full of Canadian debate politics. You mentioned zinc. He wasn't the hard case in our order. The reason I had such a severe training was I didn't even know, you know, most people never even met him their whole time there. The severe thing at Temple Tahuti was Nineveh Shadrach, the Virgo who founded the temple, and then the Gemini who became the first adept to go through the grades and become the first, and then the Aquarius after him. So I was dealing with a Gemini, a Virgo, a Gemini, and an Aquarius, all trained by a rigorous Arabic adept who, you know, was constantly invoking jinn and doing all this other crazy magic, which is
you really are Frater RC. You were trained by an Arab adept.
He's the reason I was allowed in at that age, because he had been allowed in at 16 and excelled, and so he was grateful to, I guess, Zinc and the others who let him in and trained him in LA before he came back to Canada. And he's famous online. Nineveh Shadrach is a well-known magician now. It's a shame he couldn't stay at our temple, but yeah, I think the Inner Order was I didn't know this at the time, but they were definitely trying to make it more Christian, which is a shame because that's not, the Golden Dawn's not meant to be religiously prescriptive anyway. But yeah, so there was the severe Saturnine Aquarius who trained me, and the erratic Gemini adepts that trained me, and then they trained me and Martin, who were both Aquarians, and Martin now runs Zaleski's order, and I do my thing, and yeah. Balls to the wall, baby. We definitely had our balls to the wall. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Sky, did you have anything? I know you got to leave early, so if you don't have a question, I'd recommend moving on to your thing.
Sky has another hour, right?
I was messing with my audio. I don't know. Can you hear?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. I was thinking. Okay. Yeah. So first of all, I thought it was hilarious. Your like little disclaimer that you put at the beginning of your journal. That was pretty. But yeah. So, I'm not gonna really pretend like I'm farther along than I am. So, my approach is more simplistic. Journals don't have like decades of experience behind them or anything like that. Respect the practice and the discipline of maintaining consistency with the magical journal, and I'm working, but I'm shamefully guilty of slacking, and not that I don't do it at all. That I'm kind of pathetic, honestly. But fortunately, I have a bunch of notes on my phone that are intended to be transferred to some of the gaps. But yeah, I was contemplating like preparation for this reading, and it kind of need to confront the issue of my slackage. So thanks, Eleftheria. Appreciated. But yeah. So with that said, I'm all about in favor of it. I advocate for it. I think valuable for any level of seriousness, and it should probably be emphasized more. And I made this point many times to me and others of how important it is, and so I think he's absolutely right. And but anyway, so thoughts about just doing practice in general. I think that like magical journal has a multitude of value, not just magically, but just for in general, because but there's some things like exclusively with magic, which I would say is like maybe journaling particular astrological things that are happening, and how those to your own personal like soul signature and all of that. But so I was just thinking about some ways to think about my thoughts on the value of like some of the value I see in journaling, and like I think particularly if you're going through any sort of with like elemental grades where you're kind of like bathing in or like a two elemental energies, like recording and reflecting on how those influences like affect you, or like the end reflections that occur as a result. And like for example, like thinking about like Zelda stuff, like dealing with like earth problems, and like I remember geomancy and how much it was, but then after kind of seeing, going through it all solid of an exercise or lesson it was in self-plan. So even if you don't enjoy something, it's uncomfortable. It's usually where that's like the precursor to growth. The newly planted seeds, they have to break the shell of resistance to reach the sun, and so like the element of air working through just manually casting various from the overwhelming, intimidating like aspect, all the math and the formulas and the calculations, and calculating time zone using a femmer and all of that. It's just like really intimidating, but it's super great exercise for mental, like your mental muscles, and there's kind of an effect similar to if you go a long jog or you have an intense physical workout, you have the post-workout endorphins, with consistent repetition time, you kind of feel yourself getting stronger in endurance. For me, reflection is like there's a similar thing, like mentally, with just doing the work, and the element of air. And then there's, of course, there's always like personal synchronicities that people usually find when they're recording and documenting all these things. So those are some of the like kind of surface level thoughts. And I'll share one more thing that I journaled. And this is like watered down, filtered, and the simplified version. It was significant dream / astral semi-lucid experience I had relatively recently that I recorded. And I recorded it because of the way that it affected me mentally and emotionally, and just the unique quality experiences for me. So it was an instance where I went into elaborate visionary half lucid state where I had passed a particular point in a dream that I have often had. So that in itself was significant to me, but the themes do with bondage and freedom and sort of remaining centered myself regardless of how one or the other regard one or the other, and being like willing to accept things that are outside of my control. And so kind of culminated in the experience where I got to taste like I could only describe as like being bathed in a Luciferian current. And so I know that when I say that, I'm sure people are conjuring all sorts of ideas of what that means. Each person probably has their own sort of conceptions of these things, but for me, it revealed like it was like heavily revolving around like ultimate and individual freedom. That's like the best way I guess I could probably describe it, but kind of with an imbalanced tilt. And what it revealed to me was this sort of glimpsing of what the potential outcomes of what that would be to be immersed and aligned with the current and what it would yield. And although it was like intoxicating, exhilarating, showed me like a really narrow band or field that at least it gave me the impression that could kind of like sweep me away. And it came with like it would come with sacrifice or like disconnection from bonds or that I value, which kind of counterintuitive if you're thinking about like ultimate freedom, but just trying to describe it the best that I can. And but yeah, so like the way that I try to articulate it, I don't know, it's going to be filtered by listeners, so I'm doing my best. But yeah, so ultimately it wasn't something viewed as an evil current or anything like that, but it just wasn't something that would bring me personal fulfillment, like that I actually value certain stations, certain relationship bondages, like family bondages, like so it was kind of revolving these sorts of things, and it's almost like a deviation from vision or yeah, that's kind of abstract, but that's I would describe it. But it's kind of antithetical to the notion that I expressed earlier about like soul growth coming from discomfort or thing that you're kind of pushing yourself through. So yeah, abstract, but I guess it's a particular series of personal gnosis that's not entirely transmissible. But at the end, there was like a being I was observing, and a loud, clear name that was audible, and it revealed itself to me. And I still kind of making sense of it. I don't really know how to make sense of it, but something that I'll contemplate, and perhaps it'll come in time. But that's something that I journaled because it was an interesting experience. So that's that.
Yeah, thank you, Sky. That was interesting, and yeah, it's great to hear everybody's visions and things like that. And yeah, very interesting that you got an insight into that Luciferic or Luciferian energy, and it sounds like to me, when I listen to that, it makes me think of how sometimes we can be misled by things that don't seem dark and evil and scary, like like worm tongue whispering in the ear of the king. Sometimes the thing that makes you stray from the path can seem quite beautiful and convincing as something good, but it's actually superficial, and then there's a deeper understanding that will make you realize that perhaps it's not taking you in a good direction. And you mentioned progress through pain and sacrifice and discomfort, and often that's the way that happens in the spiritual path. And a lot of modern New Age spirituality seems to be about keeping people comfortable, and so it's just interesting that you drew that distinction. So a lot of things to think about there from your personal gnosis, and those are the things that sprung to mind for me listening to what you said. Anyway, so does anyone else have questions or comments?
Well, I did manage to listen. I muted myself here and turned on the stream, the public stream on my other laptop. So I heard you coming through over there. But yeah, something's going on with your audio. We'll have to figure out what that is. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like the headphones or the mic's active and the speak is active. But yeah, I think I was able to follow fairly well. Not well enough to really come up with much to ask you about it. It was but I'll have another listen. Ike?
So what have you learned about keeping journals? Because come on, I gotta I gotta say something, right?
That's what I was saying. I was like, I know.
Yeah,
well. I had this some of my Hebrew scribbles, just some neophyte practicing Hebrew. I figured I'd share, but
it's actually interesting. It's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, very nice.
That was just some of my practicing, getting my Hebrew on. But I think I turned off my mic, so hopefully it's just working out of my.
It's way better. It's way better. It's like now at least I can hear what you're saying without it skipping. So
nice.
Yeah, I mean, you have a really active dream life too. I mean, yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you like hit me up a couple of times, been like, hey, you were teaching me magic last night underwater or something like that. Actually, I get that a lot. Like, I get random people messaging me probably like at least once a week. Like, you were in my dream teaching me magic. I'm like, hilarious. Oh, okay. I'm busy, aren't I?
Yeah.
So,
go on.
I was just gonna say I tried to pick something that I could, semi-articulate, but a lot of things I just want to keep kind of hermetically sealed for now, because I want to wait till a time when I can make more sense of them or have a way of expressing them better. But I figured that was something that was like relatively interesting that I can share a little bit about. But yeah, so.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sky. So I know that there's some time constraints with you. So how long is it until you need to sign off?
So I've got, it looks like 38 minutes or so.
45 minutes?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have a surprise. I thought we were doing the 3 hours, so I don't know if the surprise will make it before Sky has to leave, but hopefully we'll see. We'll do the best. Eleftheria, if you don't mind me jumping in here, I know while planning for all this people might find this really funny, actually. While planning this session, you don't want me to spoil anything, but okay, maybe I'll let you. Am I going to spoil it?
Well,
I don't know.
Let's see how well trained my intuition is.
Okay. Well, I won't say anything then, right? But I do have something else.
Okay, well, let me just ask you one question. So,
We're having
or
fun.
in the form of a riddle. So, you know, we're trying to run a tight ship here with this stream because of time constraints. But every ship needs a captain. Am I getting warm or?
No. Oh my God. I wish that was the
Oh.
surprise. Well, no, I don't. I regret saying that now because the surprise is equally cool. But oh my God, that would be that would break the internet in my brain. It would have like probably no impact in the world. But he's asking me something that is this is just between us. Sorry, guys. It would.
I mean,
break the
I
internet
have
in my brain.
I have no fucking clue what's going on.
I know it's something
Right,
else. It's something
it's a
else. Though
surprise.
that would be a great one. Before you do your segment here, I just wanted to say that people should be aware that recently Ike and Frater Eleftheria had an amazing experience together, a very intimate and powerful experience
On Brokeback Mountain.
Almost. It was so powerful. They did a podcast on Ike's Arcane podcast, and it was so deep and moving.
So good.
I thought
Really?
we should definitely make a big deal about it today. Well, yeah, like there was one thing you said, Eleftheria, that really struck me to the core, and I clipped it. I if you don't mind, I'm just going to share that little clip with people so they can see how powerful it was. It's just a minute. So there you go, a little highlight from this life-changing podcast.
So you've got a YouTube channel that is, pretty popular, and you've got, I think, just over a little over 35,000 subscribers. You've been very, very forthcoming on that channel over the past several years that you've done it, with the ritual techniques and demonstrations. But the YouTube channel is called Lifting the Lamp, which name I love. But I'm interested, what's the significance of lifting the lamp? Where'd that come from? How does that apply to what you intend to do with the channel?
Great question. So when I started the channel, I mean, there were a few big reasons why I wanted to start the channel, but one of them was that.
Oh, that's fucking excellent. That was good. Yeah, you got me, man. You got
Nice.
me. Fuck.
Happy April.
All right. Well, we've got the jester of the stream here. That's great. And now the secret's out that I am lamb. I don't know.
It was a good talk though, man. I had a really fun time.
It's a great episode.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah. Ooh,
sorry.
Okay.
I can't help it.
So how do we recover from that?
Yeah.
Well, I do have something else for you. If you want to laugh. So if you don't mind. I've been reading Gal Sofer's amazing book, which reveals the truth about Solomonic magic to the world, from Brill. Found a used copy that's not very used, so that's great. I've been talking to Gal, DMing. He's been answering questions. It really opens up Grimoire scholarship to a whole new audience because of his central premise about Solomonic magic. But what's going on with those people who have read this book, again, slightly exorbitant from Brill, may they burn in purgatory or whatever. Gal's work is amazing because it really shows that grimoires can be studied from a whole different methodological point of view. Like I want to use his framework to study the Book of Oberon now. However, most people don't have this book, so all they're aware of is what he's said sort of on Glitch Bottle and stuff. And so the Solomonic world's in quite a disarray right now. Their interpretation of what Gal's work is quite dramatic. And I synopsized how Solomonic magicians such as Aaron Leach and Alexander Eth, the host of Glitch Bottle, might be dealing with the impact of Dr. Sofer's work. And he's a double doctor. He's a PhD and a medical doctor. So I felt bad even talking to him on DM. And I felt really bad that I shared one picture of his book, and then people went at him, and I was like, "What are you guys doing? Leave him alone. He's done amazing work here." He just thought that he mistakenly thought Crowley was a leader of the Golden Dawn, and I don't blame him for that. Come on, he medical doctor saving lives and studying like grimoires and showing us Hebrew origins of Solomonic magic. The guy doesn't know anything about the GD, and that's the peer review people's fault anyway. But I made a little clip to show how his work is how it is impacting the Solomonic community. So here's one little fun, humorous, I'll let you know in advance, it's humorous clip I made that synopsizes the true secrets of Solomonic magic.
Solomonic magic is not a thing. That's the whole point of the title. I wanted to mislead the readers to think about Solomonic magic as a thing, but it's not a thing. And
Oh, chef's incredible. Let me tell you though, I got
your bright red.
I gotta tell you, you talk about the Solomonic community being in disarray. Like, when the fuck have they ever not been in disarray?
They're fine. They're fine. Though Mark Stavish did like call me the other day, and I think he was like, someone asked me if any Solomonic magicians don't lose their mind. And I was like, LOL. He's like, no, it's a real question. I'm like, I'm sure some of them are fine. He's like, I don't think so. Like, okay, another conversation for another time.
Well, it depends. I know. There's a couple of Solomonic practitioners that I actually really respect because I feel like they really understand what they're doing. Obviously, David Rankine's one of them. There's this other Solomonic practitioner. I really like what she does. I think she goes by the name Elizabeth Empyrean, but I really enjoy some of her content that she puts up on Instagram as well. And I like just kind of seeing the way that they attack it, right? Like David too, they embrace the clerical sort of framework of a lot of this stuff rather than kind of, wrestling with it or trying to wash it out. I see that. I see attempts at that a lot in the Solomonic thing, but I haven't read Gal Sofer's book. I probably will check it out when I have a few minutes to read another book.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty well outlined by Dr. Puka's breakdown. Though I'm gathering all the questions people have so that I can ask them of him, because he's agreed to come on my podcast. So I'd like, when I interview him, I want it to be sort of like a accumulation of all this stuff and questions and queries and issues that his work has created, has evoked in people, so that we can maybe have a cathartic discussion with him about it. Because I see his work as very optimistic, because if there was this sense from Skinner's dissertation, we start with Fevre and the other academics in the 60s and before that, the Aranists moving to study esotericism academically. And then Skinner comes forward and does his massive dissertation, published as his 2 technique books of Solomonic and Greco. But then Sofer comes along and says, there is no Solomonic magic. That's not the way the tradition should be interpreted. Really, each of these grimoires are not representing a steady stream of a singular practice or thought, but they are more composite than people thought. So the idea of the Hygromanteia, or the Testament of Solomon, being continuations of some earlier Ua text or Ur Solomonic tradition isn't exactly the case. And again, I haven't finished the book, but what he's showing through his research and untranslated documents in the Cairo Geniza and all these other things is this tradition of rabbis summoning demons. And so there's this whole other estuary going into Western magic that is fascinating. And it's going to open up how we look at grimoires across all time. And the idea, because before now, people would say, oh, well, the Arbatel, of course, it's a Solomonic grimoire because all these grimoires are Solomonic, but it doesn't really make sense in the light of all the other Solomonic grimoires. See, that whole way of thinking we can just ignore now, and we can just start to say, what is this book of magic about? what is this book of magic about? What nodes and what genuses connect? What what's their biology across time and space? And so anyway, it is very interesting. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into it. There's going to be lots of talk about it here on out. If anyone does have questions, let me know, and I'll ask them on when I finish the book and get them on the podcast. Yay. Sorry. Back to you, Eleftheria. We've had our comedic review, comedy hour, comedy 15 minutes is over. We might have my surprise show up in time, but maybe not. And I don't know what you were wanted to do for diary sharing or anyone.
Well,
thanks.
Yeah, no worries. I have got a bit of a excerpt from my diary that I want to share. First off, let me just say I did practice Solomonic magic for a number of years, and I didn't lose my mind. So, or maybe I did, but maybe it's the fact that I stopped using it that is the reason why. I'm okay. But yeah, I mean, I think that the attitude that people come into magic with can change a lot. If you've coming with a fear-based mindset, that can sabotage you. But also, there is also just going into it with your own psyche, not in its best state, can exacerbate things. But I don't necessarily think that there's any particular type of magic that messes you up mentally or any, unless you're working with demons regularly, in which case I think don't do it. But I thought I'd just add that. But in terms of my own journals, I realized after we all kind of agreed on, I suggested the topic and we all agreed that I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because on my YouTube channel, I've already kind of extracted all the juicy bits of my magical journey and made videos on them. So, I needed to find something that would interest people, and I have found something that's it's probably going to interest Frater RC in particular, but yeah, I mean, a lot of my magical diaries, as I was going through them, I realized is just like, did breathing exercise, did meditation, did Liber Resh, which is a daily practice that you do in the AA. And so there's a lot of just tedious, not particularly exciting work that goes into having a magical life. And it, and the more glamorous things do happen, but that discipline is so important. And sometimes there's periods of dryness where we don't feel as connected to the divine, but again, if we can persevere through that, then the good stuff happens. So basically what I was looking at was my journals from when I did the Samek ritual. And you can, you can see my videos on it on lifting the lamp. I did 2 videos on my working to attain knowledge and conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel. It's the one where I've got the bushland in the background. And so I revisited those journals, and I found that there's actually quite a bit in there that I haven't spoken about, that I don't plan on publishing. So I wanted to give a bit of a glimpse into that, let's call it apocryphal insights that I got during this working. But basically, for people that don't know, in 2013, I did a Samek working, which lasted for about 6 months and included 262 consecutive performances of this ritual that's important in Thelema, Liber Samek, which is basically a variation of the Bornless ritual. And sometimes I did it once a day, sometimes I did it multiple times a day. And then as I was doing it, I started to get inspiration. So I would do my banishings, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, and possibly the hexagram. I've got to go back and check. And then I would recite the Sarmek invocation and the barbarous names, the Greek words, not Crowley's crappy translations of them, where he makes everything satanic, but just the barbarous words. And then I would go into a meditation, and then, yeah, just see what I could receive that way. And what would happen is I would be inspired by a certain train of thought, and then I'd write that down, but I put it in my own words. So it wasn't quite like a more serious scrying ritual that I did later with my Enochian work, where it's like you get words and sentences and you write them down verbatim. It was a bit of a lighter touch from the intelligence that I was trying to contact, which was my holy guardian angel, and or the higher genius of Golden Dawn tradition. But basically, a number of different topics that I've been milling over in my mind, I will get answers to. And this particular session, which was session 132 on day 110 at midnight, is all about magic and politics and the way those two things interact. So I know that, Frater RC, we've had discussions before about the parts of the earth and the way that can be an intersection of magic and politics. So this might relate to that area of inquiry. So I'll just read what I wrote down here. For some reason, I decided to do it all in this obnoxious red ink, but we'll see how I go. This communication discussed the link between magic and politics, and then it begins. Politics as an art is based around conventions and traditions. Its object is for one to apply the rules of their given tradition more efficiently than the next person, thus manipulating others to see one as more representative of that tradition than anybody else. In contrast to this, the magician is one who creates their own conventions. In the context of society, one who shapes and reshapes human relationships, whether publicly or secretly. The magician does this according to their own will, creating interactions and beliefs between people which did not exist prior. It can be said that a politician is merely the personification of this or that collective force in society. The same does not apply to the magician. He or she is his or her own force. Only he or she knows and decides his or her own agenda. Magic is similar to politics because it invokes new realities into existence. Magic is different to politics because, once understood, its potential is unlimited. So, on the level of individuals, the magician is more powerful than the politician. The politician must make the best of what is possible. The magician makes the impossible possible. When the magician forces his or her own rules onto society, the balance of forces shifts and society changes as a whole. This world is not governed by order, but by chaos. Nations viciously compete with one another for influence, and within those nations themselves, the ruling elite is waging a constant war on the rest of the population. You see, I was awake to what's going on in this world, even back then, as I'm sure many people were. It's just the normies that are waking up now. But it goes on. Order is a farce. Only chaos prevails. Well, yes and no, but this was the kind of polemical style that was coming through about the seeming order of our world and how it's not quite as simple as that, and often quite a bit more chaotic in the way the world works. So politics is based on the assumption that a certain type of order has some inherent truth to it. Every political ideology, therefore, denies the true chaos of the world, and having failed to understand the chaos, is helpless in the face of it. But the magician bases their power on the great wild card of history, which has left every ideology disproven in some way. This is the power of human will and the often arbitrary way in which it forms relationships and opinions, considering the influence of material forces. The magician's own self-justified will, always more changeable compared to the less dynamic forces of the world, is a reflection of the chaos of the universe, which might also be conceptualized as a kind of universal will. The internal contradiction of politics is that it is based on the promotion of order and stability, yet it is driven and affected primarily by instability and conflict. A system of order is one-sided and therefore paradoxically unbalanced. It must attempt to survive other competing orders by spreading chaos outside itself, yet this very chaos only compromises the order further. The order may keep entrenching itself more and more, yet it is only a matter of time before the chaos, which contains more latent potential for adaptation, overwhelms the order, resolving the contradiction and producing a new kind of system in its place. The strength of the magician is that he or she has mastered the chaos both within the fractious mind and in the outside world, not by resisting chaos and imposing order, but by embracing the chaos and working with it. The magician therefore transcends the contradiction of politics and is in theory able to manipulate it accordingly. Once magic is applied to politics in this way, the greatest power imaginable is unleashed. It is the power by which the enchanters shall rule the earth. And that's a quote from The Vision and the Voice. So that was me filtering through this information and trying to make sense of it and put it onto paper in my own words. And basically what it's talking about is order and chaos, and how what seems to be a force for order is really a force for chaos. But the limitations of being confined by too much order, as the political system is, and the way that the magician can use the chaotic side of the universal order, if you will, to create greater change than any political figure. So I don't know if any of that would be relevant to what the angels were imparting to Dee and Kelly with the parts of the earth, perhaps, although it seemed to be more about angels governing particular parts of the physical sphere. But anyway, it's something to think about and something to contemplate. And yeah, so that's my excerpt anyway. Questions, comments?
Yeah, right off the bat, in hearing what you're sharing there from in the context of the parts of the earth. So this is the parts of the earth where there's spirits that govern the politics and the happenings of rulers, for those in the audience who don't know. It made me think that there's perhaps a applicable lesson about the natural cycles of regions, of governments, of nations, of rulers. And because when you're talking about, order always being destroyed by chaos, well, that just sounds like Ouroboros cyclical nature of reality, IAO. But what I was inspired by to think was that, well, maybe we need to take that into account when we're operating within a part of the earth, within an aether, or, working with Yalpalm, or however you choose to pronounce that Enochian name, like, Idumea. Like there's when I go to these places, whether I'm doing it through conjuration, scrying, or travel, I get a very real sense of what the energy of the place is like. And so, yeah, I think that's something to be aware of like, where is this place at? What is the direction it's already going? And work within that process of natural chaos, order, destruction, rebirth, and so forth. That's what it made me think.
I think I too have. I don't talk about it often because it's gotten to the point where you can't talk about it anymore. But early on, politics and magic were very, very much intertwined in my journey as well. I was very, very politically outspoken for most of my life. From the time I developed an identity of my own, about 13 years old, from the music I chose to listen to, and I wrote blogs. I went to protests. I was all the shit everybody's doing now. was literally doing it when I was 19 years old. And if more of us could have been doing it then, there might have been, there might have been some way to stop everything, or change it, or slow it down or something. But I can't really talk very much about my own political views now, because it would be easier if I leaned to one side or the other, but I don't, and people hate me on both sides for that, specifically for that reason. But the one thing that right, I mean, but that's what the Golden Dawn tells you. You got to find that middle balance. Any Golden Dawn magician who's out there waving a fucking flag for one side or the other, it's like, we missed the lesson, did we not? Two opposing forces and one which unites them eternally. I did listen to NoFX. I listened to Bad Religion. I listened to Black Flag, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Rancid was a really good one too. Anyway, but it's difficult to talk about now. The one thing that I'm wondering if you've thought about, or if you've had any kind of communications, because I have. Again, that's not stuff that I talk about very often. But I do have a very, very deep gut feeling, intuition, and things that I've kind of parsed out through my magical work, that there are magicians doing politics, except they're not the kind that we would hang out with. That it's not at the highest levels of orchestration. It's quasi-religious. It's just a religion that we're not in on, and thank God, perhaps. But that's and people will lambaste me for being a conspiracy theorist and all that stuff. But certainly I do feel that way. I'm wondering your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different, very different types of example that I can think of for that. One is, of course, the amateur witch who curses Donald Trump, and the Etsy witches that were cursing Charlie Kirk and that sort of thing. The kind of cringy, what I consider to be quite cringy, and dark magic applied to politics. But it doesn't seem to be working in the case of Trump. So, maybe they're just not very good witches. But I do think in terms of like actual society and stuff, and the upper echelons of power, yeah, I mean, there probably is this element to it, of magical advisors and things like that. I mean, Trump himself, it's not strictly like esoteric magic, but he's into some kind of power of positive thinking type of stuff, and he's got some kind of spiritual advisor that's into that stuff. So, I mean, that could be like a modern, watered down manifestation of what you're talking about, perhaps. But the way that he makes his decisions on the world stage is very much like bluffing something and then manifesting reality and changing reality with the bluff. So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely been regimes that have more of an occult inner circle than others, such as that of a particular mustachioed man from Germany that will probably get the video demoted if we mention his name. But yeah, it'd be very interesting to be a fly on that wall. But I do think that, yeah, world leaders have got magical protections, and there's probably some kind of underbelly there. I haven't tried to look at it specifically, although I will say that when I worked with the part of the Earth recently, which was roughly where Tehran is, I did feel like a jinn manifested itself to kind of protect that regime. So how that was put in place, I don't know, but yeah, that's what I'll say on that.
Thanks.
Should we do it? All right. Oh my God, what is happening? Dr. Litwa, did you just crash our podcast?
Hello.
Crashing the show
Yes, good to
is
see you folks. Wow,
Dr. M. David
nice
Litwa.
lineup. What
Good
a
to see you
very
too.
nice lineup.
Well,
What an honor to be here. Wow.
Thanks for
You
joining.
guys have such rich conversations. Thanks for the invitation. Good to see you folks.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, it's the various Hermetic traditions joined together here. It's, I mean, three of us are Golden Dawn types, but Eleftheria comes out of the Crowley Thelema tradition. But what's really cool about the four of us is it shows whether you're starting your journey or a long way down the path, or from a slightly different tradition, you know, there is this Hermetic bond which holds us all together. It's why Sky here, I think, just chose to call it a Hermetic Roundtable when he started this thing off with for us at the beginning of the year. And thank you, Sky, for doing that. It's been a beautiful monthly thing to have in all of our lives. And people are enjoying it too, as you can tell. Thank you very much. Yes, super chat, like, and subscribe, people. This is the first time we've had a special surprise guest. No one else here other than me knew he was popping by, and there's a very good reason he is showing up right now. It's because he's got some big stuff happening, and he's got a few minutes to tell us about it before he gets back to translating Coptic and Greek and I don't know what else. But also he's in Australia, so it's bright and early in the morning. So thank you for waking up along with our other fellow Australian that we drag out of bed every morning to do this with us.
Oh, well, yeah, no, it's not too early. It's yeah, almost noon here. It's good to see you folks. Yeah. Well, listen, I think, you know,
Before you announced, share your, sorry, go ahead. Well, I have a clip for you. I've been working on this little promo video for you. It's not quite done. I need to redo the voiceover. I'm going to do original music, but it's looking pretty good. And I've got a clip to show you that leads into your exciting announcement that you're going to share with people, which is the reason for having you on here today, because you've got a big announcement with your book, The Definitive Hermetica, and then you've got another announcement which no one even really knows about yet. So yeah, without further ado, here's what I've got for you. And then, yeah, we'd all love to hear about what you're going to be doing this spring and summer for us crazy Hermeticists. The Hermetic Bible has finally arrived. After publishing Hermetica 2 for Cambridge Press, Dr. M. David Litwa, Ph.D., published Post-Human Transformation in Ancient Mediterranean Thought, Desiring Divinity, and 1 or 2 other dozen major works. From early Christian studies to Gnosticism and the Hermetica. Dr. Litwa also teaches and translates Ancient Greek and Coptic. If you want to study more with him, join his Gnosis Academy, which meets monthly, and also you get to enjoy and participate in his many online recorded courses, getting a new one each month that you are a member. As a member myself, I can tell you these are well worth your while, and you get to explore and study with other like-minded people, scholars, and teachers themselves in many cases. Join the Gnosis Academy and get access to all of Dr. Litwa's work today, including an introductory course on the Hermetica, which follows the translation of the Stobaean fragments in Hermetica 2. But finally, the great announcement is here. The Hermetic Bible has arrived, and Dr. Litwa has retranslated the Hermetic fragments and the Nag Hammadi Coptic into a new Hermetica 1, ordered as a path of initiation, and now released in the definitive edition from Fount Unlimited, an offshoot of Anathema Publishing in Canada, with beautiful artwork by Jose Gabriel Alegria Sabogal. Explore Hermetica and the Way of Hermes by pre-ordering the limited edition hardcover today which ships out this spring. The unlimited paperback will also be available, as well as the deluxe version, which is already sold out. Explore the Way of Hermes with Dr. M. David Litwa, and stay tuned for more exciting announcements from Fount Unlimited, Anathema Publishing, and the Gnosis Academy.
Well, thank you very much. I guess I can leave now. No, that was beautiful. Much more beautiful than anything I could say or do. I really appreciate that, Frater. Actually, I owe a thanks to Gabriel because he just sent me the paperback.
Oh my God!
So it's not coming out too well, but there's Hermes. It's just like the proofs edition, but it's looking good. It really is. And that deluxe, wow. I'm really mouth-watering that myself. I mean, I interestingly in the deluxe version, so you'll get a page in there with my signature on it, and I must have signed about, I don't know what it was, almost 200 of them. I'm not sure how much Gabriel had for sale, but at any rate, so that's all in the works, and yeah, very excited. So as Frater RC has mentioned, so I've basically, this is going to come out and everyone's going to have the hardback by June. At least that's the plan. So, and by then the paperback will be available. So what I'm doing this spring, summer, it'll start June 8th. We're basically just going to have a readings course, and we're going to go through this text together. And as Frater RC mentioned, this is the definitive edition. So I have made some improvements. I'm a very tamed Wildbergian in my translation. So I do note that there are mechanical interpolations in the Hermetica that have been removed. I've gone ahead and removed those. Of course, I've told you in the footnotes what I've done, but I'm not crazy. Most of it is still there, so don't worry too much about that. I haven't destroyed the spiritual treasure. At least, hopefully you won't think so. But really the whole point of the edition is to bring out its spiritual significance rather than produce like another academic volume for Cambridge University Press, for which I would be paid next to nothing. But apart from that, I just didn't want to deal with an academic press because I don't really consider I don't consider the Hermetica to be reserved for academics. I consider it to be the spiritual treasure for so many different people and so many different traditions. And so to have an accessible, really well done volume, and thanks go to Gabriel for this. He's done an amazing job, the artist as well. It's phenomenal. I mean, if you just look at the pictures, you don't even need the words as far as I'm concerned. But it's a great book. And I've tucked in 2 of my essays in the back. So when you join the Gnosis Academy and when you join their new live seminar, you'll get access to the lecture course, which is the intro to the Hermetica. But what I want to do this summer, I don't want to do a lecture course. I really just want to do a readings course where we just read these texts together. And the difference will be that we're reading them in terms of the spiritual progression, right? So the book subtitle is, it's Hermetica 1, the Corpus Hermeticum Asclepius and Nagamati Hermetica, ordered as a path of initiation. Okay, so it's a path of initiation, and I've suggested that it has 4 parts. So you've got your introductory tractates, you've got general discourses, you've got detailed discourses, and then revelatory discourses. And so we'll be reading in order as a spiritual progression. And this will be the great experiment, right? So to see if people can really be on a spiritual journey by reading it in this order. As I say in the intro, there's nothing canonical about the order. I've reset the order. You may personally, as a practicing hermetist, want to devise your own order, and that doesn't offend me at all. But this experimental order, which I've suggested, is designed to get people on a spiritual journey rather than just a purely academic one. Of course, I've got the intro and I've got the academic apparatus there as well. I've got a short commentary on each tractate. So you'll be reading that as well. But the point of it is the point of the live course is just to have that kind of like fellowship among fellow hermetists or budding hermetists, and really just to enjoy each other, to enjoy each other's interpretations. So I'm going to be the guide, but I'm not taking any kind of precedence, and I definitely am not lecturing. So, you'll get the intro course, together with the live seminar. So you can go through the lectures yourself earlier than when we do the reading. And yeah, it'll be a great time. Hopefully anyway. I'm sure that with everyone there contributing, it will be great.
And do you want to say something about the time and how many sessions and the, it's a bit
Absolutely.
bigger in scope than people are probably realizing, and
so 10
and
sessions,
very reasonably priced.
Yeah, 10 sessions. Going to start on June 8th. It's going to be Monday evenings, so 8:30 p.m. in the summertime. We're going to go all the way to August 10th, and so this is going to be it's going to be a summer long, readings course. So if you can't make one of the sessions, they'll be recorded for group members, and you can catch it when you can. But I'm hoping that most people can make it. I know people go on holiday, obviously, but the summer is a great time to really just dig deep into this material. So
yeah, I'll be there for sure, and I hope other people hear about what you're doing and jump on board. It's a pretty amazing opportunity to go through, I think, that material with you. So
yeah, and the point for me is to do it together. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're creating a little community, a little hermetic community, I guess. So whether you're purely have intellectual interests or you're a practitioner, so I'm not myself. I wouldn't describe myself as like a full-on practitioner. I don't do any rituals that I would consider hermetic, but you may do that, in which case you have a lot to contribute. I speak the Hermetic prayer of Thanksgiving. I do Hermetic theology, but I try to do a little Hermetic silence. But really, the course is for anyone and everyone who has even the smallest interest in the Hermetica, just to see what it is. And yeah, I'm hoping that people will benefit intellectually and spiritually.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah, and you and I are going to be talking pretty soon, aren't we? Next month, right?
Yes, thank you, Ike. Yes, so May 3rd, mark your calendars. I think that's what we said. Yep, we'll get into the weeds a little bit more.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've read your work. I absolutely love what you did with the ordering, and I thought that was really a brilliant innovation of sequencing. Especially, I'm much more of a practitioner, so that stuff's useful. Actually, Sky, who had to run, he let us know earlier he had to jump off. He actually gifted me. He's like, oh, you should check out the Scholar, and it was well worth it. So I'm excited. I'm really happy that you're here. RC didn't tell us anything. I just saw like David Litwit has entered this backstage or the studio. I'm like, wait, what? what's going on here? So really, really lovely to have you on, and I'm looking forward to us chatting in a couple weeks.
Most definitely, yes. Looking forward to it. Yes,
it's April Fool's month.
Yes.
How are you finding Australia?
Sorry?
How are you finding Australia? The difference
Oh my
in
goodness, it's the
seasons and
best
everything
place
else?
on earth. Yeah. Don't tell anyone about it. I want this continent not to be more than, 26, 27 million. I mean, it's just a great place to be. Wow. Living in America, people were always telling me there's no greater place than America. And then they had to pay for their own health insurance and they had no working trains. And yeah, honestly, and there was freezing for half the year, so like, anyway, I can't say enough good things about Australia. Sane government too. I mean, has its issues, but not effing crazy. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Enjoying it.
I hope you enjoy your stay here.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Well, you've
Most
been there a
definitely.
while, haven't you? How long have you
It's
been
my
in Australia?
eighth year. Yeah, I tried to move back to the States and realized what a big mistake that was. Yeah, the government wouldn't give my wife a visa anyway, so that didn't work out. So, so anyway, I might end up somewhere back in America eventually, but I am really, really enjoying life down under. So yeah, come visit. And any of you folks, well, anyone listening, it's a great time. It's a great place.
Yeah, I've got family there. I've had family there. We've got like a whole little contingency over there, and I want to say that maybe Adelaide. Is that a place? That's a place, right?
Yeah, nice city. Lots of Greeks here in Melbourne. People of Greek and Italian heritage.
That's me.
Yeah,
Me too.
We're big on Greek culture. Got lots of Hellenic centers here. It's the Greeks knew, what was like closest to the Mediterranean climate, and yeah, they struck gold here.
Wow, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that about Australia.
Yeah, very Mediterranean in climate and in culture, more European. We've got walkable cafes and just cities that are, I think, more European than American. Somewhere in the middle, but more Europe than America. Yeah. We don't have to drive like 10 miles to get to the Starbucks or to the Target or whatever it is that Americans do. I guess the Walmart.
Yeah, and I used to live in New York City where everything was kind of walkable, and you being be on the train, you might get killed, but you can take the train.
There might be pee on the curb, but that's okay.
Definitely pee on the curb. Now I live in North Carolina, and now that the gas prices are so high, like I don't even want to go to the grocery store because it's like 15 miles from my house.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pain in the neck that you don't really realize until you go other places. I think a lot of the times, pros and cons for having space, but I'd like to visit Australia. My only reservation all these years, and it's totally a personal thing. I hate flying. I don't let it stop me. I fly like twice a month. I fly twice a month, but I'm thinking of it like I'm pretty sure it's like a 24-hour plane ride. I don't know if I can handle that.
15 over the Pacific. Yeah. And just the technique you use is you get a good sleeping pill. So you knock yourself out and then you wake up and you're basically there. Yeah. If you can do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I might come visit you. We'll see.
Excellent.
Now I've got friends. I've got friends.
Yeah,
I've got Eleftheria.
Yeah, I don't have anyone who doesn't like it. I have never met anyone who disliked Australia. I'm sure they're out there, but
I might not be able to handle the spiders and the creepy crawlies and all that. It's true.
That's what everyone says. I've never seen them. Not at all.
Oh well,
you have to-
well, I was hoping to hear that, but then Eleftheria last time was like, I got to go deal with these nasty spiders that are everywhere, and I was like, oh my god, it's worse than I imagined, and you know, I was like, maybe I crossed that off my bucket list early.
Is
I'd love to go.
Is a flying fox a real thing, or is that like the chupacabra?
Oh yes, yeah, they're right by
What?
my house. They're the size of cats, and they all hang from the trees during the daytime. You can go visit them. They make music during the day, and they're like scratching themselves and peeing, and you walk right under them. There's like 1,000 bats above you, and they're all like hanging from the tree in the daytime, like making their distinctive noise. Yeah, we've got a big colony here in Melbourne,
Wow.
just right out in nature. It's not a zoo.
Yeah.
Flying foxes,
Flying
Well,
foxes.
that's what they're called.
right?
They're called flying foxes. They're a species of bat that they don't use sonar. They have eyes like we have, but of course they go out at night, and right around sundown you see on the highway hundreds, if not thousands, of bats just moving on to get whatever fruit they get. So it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, bats are cool. Before COVID, I was working at this church in Northern California, and every night at like midnight, I'd go to the pool hot tub area, go behind, turn on the hot tub, staff perk, right? And I just lay floating up in the hot tub and watch the bats spiral around me. And there's Egyptian stuff everywhere because it's an Egyptian church research center, LGBTQ church with animals and exotic creatures everywhere. Lots of servals and ocelots, and yeah, bats are awesome. But I was imagining foxes with wings, or like maybe the squirrel skin that would
look like.
fly.
Yeah, they
Really?
look like little foxes. They actually have
Googling
red
this.
hair.
I think someone actually needs a link. How about the heat? Someone wants a link. I don't know what you want to link to, the mocha pot, but let us know what you want to link to. I would love. I'd love to share the link to your course.
The link to the course. Yeah. Let me do that. I'll put it in the private
Put it
chat.
in the private chat, and I'll
yeah. The heat is very bearable. In fact, it's quite cool where I am in Melbourne. Of course, I don't know where Frater Eleftheria is, but obviously, if you're in Queensland, it's hot. Yeah, most of the year.
Yeah, I'm in Perth, so
Yeah.
the heat over here in summer is infernal. It's like you could literally crack an egg on the bonnet of a car and it would fry. So if you don't like desert climate, then perhaps anyone who's thinking of going there, go over east instead. But yeah, I mean, have you thought about coming here permanently and living here? Is that kind of the plan, or?
My kids are here, so I'm kind of stuck. So I mean, I'm not going anywhere, at least for the next 10 years. So unless unless their mother lets me take them, but that ain't gonna happen. So
please stay there. The more people I have to visit, the better. Because if you're going to go all that way, you want to have a bunch of people to hang out with, and not that you're all close together. It's a pretty big place, I hear. How close are the cities you two live in? Are they like crazy?
Two ends of the world. It's like a 5-hour, no, probably like a 6-hour flight from Melbourne to Perth,
wow.
I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
But again, you just adapt to it. I'm only in Melbourne. I'm only an hour and a half flight from Sydney, 2-hour flight from Brisbane, which is the big city in Queensland. So if you're on the East Coast, you're fairly close. You can drive. I can drive to Sydney, 11 or 12 hours. Thinking about doing that on a motorbike at some point.
Nice.
So it's doable.
You're a biker? Are you a biker?
I just got my license. Actually, I just got my license. So
Hardcore.
yeah, got my first motorbike. Really proud of that. It is a scary machine when you get on that for the first time and you're like going like 60 miles an hour down the road. You're like, whoa, I've never felt wind like this. You know, it's like, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And in Australia, yeah, you can ride all year round. I ride my push bike all year round, but yeah, I got the real bike. So here we go.
Amazing.
Danatrell is in the chat. He says, "R.I.P. Dr. Litwa."
Danatrell. Do you know Danatrell, David?
I wear a helmet. I mean,
Do you know who Danatrell is? He's a Canadian. He's a Canadian treasure. He's a national Canadian treasure, and we're short on many of them these days. By the way, people, that QR code is the link to Dr. Litwa's Hermetica course. This cool technology lets us just make QR codes. But so Modern Hermeticist, huge YouTube channel. He's the only reason I probably can't say I'm the biggest occult podcast in Canada, because I think he kind of qualifies. Danatrell, I mean, Dan, you and I have never talked, of course, so let me just say things about you despite not knowing you personally. He's I guess it's safe to say he comes from a practical background, similar sort of Once Upon a Time, maybe a little GD influence. I don't want to speak out of school, but he really took to Hermeticism and went and got his PhD and has been translating Ficino's De Christiana, which sheds a whole new light on Ficino. And Dan, I just got this. I found one. 15 years it took me to find this book. Hardest book to find. And I'd love to talk to you about it, Dr. Trell. So he's an amazing scholar in Renaissance Hermeticism, and you two should definitely be talking. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, Dan. Shout out to Canada.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been in this game way before it was cool. I remember just there being nothing on the internet for magic, specifically like ceremonial stuff and all this kind of stuff. And when I found the Modern Hermeticist and I heard him talking about the degree he was getting, I'm like, I didn't even know you could get degrees in that stuff. You know, so really broke the whole thing wide open for me. So it's just, I kind of feel I fanboy out, you know, that like this guy's watching, you know, my dumb ass sitting here on a podcast. Yeah. But so thanks for being here, both of you.
Yeah.
Litwa and
Dr. Litwa and Dr. Trell. Yeah, it's I mean, we should have Dan Trell. You should surprise us sometime. Surprise us.
Yeah, he can tell us about the first time he listened to this podcast, because he had like a I think he had like an out-of-body experience or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of, David, he does a lot of readings. He's got a really lovely reading voice, and does a lot of full-length readings of ancient texts, which, you know, is right up your alley. So you can go to bed listening to Porphyry and stuff and get fully consumed.
There's an ASMR quality to it.
Yeah, as if you need more of this, but why not?
How do I share my screen real quick? Can you instruct me on this?
You go down, the down middle button with the screen with a plus on it.
Okay.
I've always wondered how Porphyry sounded.
How what sounded?
I've always wondered how Porphyry sounded. A lot like Dan, then, right?
I don't think Porphyry is a big one of Dan's things, but I can't remember.
Is this showing up on the screen or no?
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, it's there now. I can add it to the stage.
That's a flying fox.
Whoa! Oh my God, they're huge. Oh my
hair,
God,
yeah.
I'm never going to Australia. Oh my God, what the? Oh my God, no, I can't even get near the screens.
Yeah,
they don't actually interact with humans, though. I don't know why that woman is grabbing it. It must be in like a, I don't know.
His wife. I don't know.
That's crazy.
like any animal, they don't dig humans. You just, yeah, they shit on you, but that's about it. Yeah.
Wow. And so there's that hundreds of them flying around. That's
At night, yeah, no, at the daytime, they're hanging in the trees above you
with the Lost Boys. Well, thanks for stopping by. This has been a real treat. I know Sky
Absolutely.
is
No,
really
thank
sad
you.
he couldn't stick around.
Yeah, thank you guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you for letting me pop in. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the work all you were doing. You know, keep doing what you're doing, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you folks in the future sometime.
We have
Maybe
one
in the
comment
flesh.
for you.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, well, in the flesh would be great. I have thoughts and ideas, and hopefully they can turn into plans at some point, because it would be, you know, like, I know you've done trips to Egypt. Ike's done trips to Egypt. I kind of would like to do a trip to Greece. That's kind of more so even than Egypt, honestly. I'd love to go to Egypt too, of course, but yeah, there's lots of things. Dr. Dan,
Esoteric Greece, yeah.
yeah.
Stay out of tourists,
And one of my friends, one of my friends who's got a book coming out on demons, and Keanu Reeves, he just fled Israel and he's living on Crete, and he'll be on my podcast soon. And his book is coming out from Inner Traditions, so you guys got to talk to him. Keanu Reeves and demons, an occult book on those topics. How can you go wrong? So yeah, I know some people in Greece. I'll find out. I'll ask him. His name's Oren.
I'm getting married there in like 4 weeks. So.
Oh shit! Amazing. Yeah. Well, so
good
the modern
congratulations.
Yeah, good, congrats. Yeah. Modern Hermeticist says, Dr. Litwa may or may not know this. I've got a book coming out with Breppels this summer on the Latin Hermetica and Matteo Stefani. I didn't know that. Good.
Yeah,
What's
I think Breppels is a European publisher. Yeah, definitely. That's great. I will look that up. If you want to send us the name of it, that'd be great. But yeah, I myself, you know, I don't claim any expertise whatsoever when we're getting up into High Middle Ages and Renaissance. So your work is really, really complimentary to me. I completely depend on you for that phase of the Hermetica. So appreciate that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I will see you folks later, I hope. Be well and take care, all of you. And yeah, I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for stopping by, and everyone check out M. David Litwa's course and see him on Ike Baker coming up soon on Arcanum podcast. Thanks, David.
Most definitely. Looking forward
Many
to
blessings.
Thank you.
Awesome. Nice surprise.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to be more familiar with Dr. Litwa and his work.
I would call him an undiscovered gem, except he's very discovered.
Yeah.
You know? But a lot of people, I think, don't
Oh.
realize how much of his stuff is dead on our interests. Even if you're not a Christian, his approach to understanding early Christianity is not what you would expect. And it's like the Marcion gospel, all that. I could speak more intelligently about this, but I'm just too excited right now.
Yeah, I was trying not to. I wanted to like save it for the talk I'm going to have with him in a couple of weeks, but I definitely, particularly when I had first started moving towards clerical ordination in the church that I'm a part of, which at one point called itself Gnostic and now is more, they call themselves more pre-Nicene. I used to listen at the time I was working in carpentry in Asheville. I was driving an hour and a half each way to commute to work, and I just would devour his lectures on YouTube and that he had on the internet. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, who the hell is this guy? You know, and then finding out more about him, and I'm like, this is like what I've been waiting for somebody to do, you know, in terms of exactly in the in the academic space, and then like he was doing this totally, like, I don't know if it was like rogue or what, but he was doing like this totally individual thing, completely not affiliated, and just bringing all that quality information, like seminar style, rather than like producing episodes of things. He would just do it like presentation style with people on like a Zoom or something like that. And it was actually outstanding. I really loved that. So I'm excited to talk to him. Thanks for bringing him on. That was a nice touch.
You're welcome. I offered to tell you guys what the surprise was, but of course, you being good sports said no, don't tell us, so I didn't. And we'll get the captain on maybe one day, Eleftheria. Who knows? That would be cool. The captain is the nickname of one of Eleftheria's old lodge mates, the great Canadian rock musician Jeff Martin from the Tea Party, who's very, very, very famous. But I'm on his Patreon, and he and I used to be friends. So yeah, it's cool to have guests show up. Modern Hermeticist says the book is called Corpus Christianorum, in translation 50 Latin Hermes in classes on Trismegistus, book 6 principle things, book of. That's exactly what we're going to need after, now that we have this Litvian access into the spiritual journey of the Hermetica. What we're going to need after is then some more meat to sink our teeth into, kind of like how I think Gal Sofer's work really is. After Skinner's dissertation, like, the question is, okay, well, now what? So there's this magical tradition that goes back, that is identifiable in the Eugromantea and the Testament of Solomon and other works, but what next? Well, this is what's next. So maybe Dan, Dr. Atrell there, you've created the next step after Litwa's Hermetica for all of us, people to initiates of the way of Hermes to pursue. And that's very cool. Another thing Dr. Litwa used to do, he did something really cool that has influenced, would have been very useful for me and for a lot of the seminarians I've worked with and clergy I've worked with. He used to be part of the editing team that would compile every month or so the commentaries on the different parts of the New Testament and Bible, and put them into a pamphlets and a research base, so that preachers could then access the up-to-date scholarship, the biblical text they're preaching on. So like, that's a tremendously detailed work, kind of work that he did, even in the gospel interpretations, but also his work on like the divinity of Christ, the Marcion gospel, and all his work on Gnostics, the Nascenes. He has a whole book on the Nascenes. He has a whole book on Simon Magus. I have his book on Simon Magus. And he's trying to re-release some of his work in more affordable manners, because a lot of the books are academic published. That's what I bought, of course, not knowing he was going to make them more affordable as he could in course form and in independently published form, but he has. And so his works become extremely accessible. And there's an amazing book. Once you do Dr. Litwa's Hermetica, there's an amazing little book he did called, what's the title again? Human Transformation, Ancient Transformation. It's a little blue one, but what it looks at angelomorphism in parallel with theosis. So he looks at the way humans are developing to be more like God through different forms of theosis, angelification, angelomorphism. But he ties into that all the socio-political ramifications of the modern age, including sort of the technocratic, more eugenic issues that come up with post-technological human transformation. So he doesn't shy away from any of it, and it's all in this tiny little book. And that was my entryway to his work after Hermetica 2, which is, of course, amazing. That's the technical Hermetica, where like tells you which elements correspond to which parts of your body, so you can do cool new rituals if you want.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds like a comprehensive body of work. And early Christianity and the truth behind the origins of Christianity is one of my big special interests as well. So I'm definitely going to educate myself more in that regard with Dr. Litwa's take on things. What do you think the biggest takeaway is from Dr. Litwa's work in terms of early Christianity and its origins?
So I've been focusing on his Hermetic work and some of his Gnostic work and some of the Marcion stuff. I haven't gotten to those books. I have most of his books, but I haven't read them all. So I have. I started with the stuff I was most excited about, of course, the Hermetica stuff, the transformation stuff, Theosis. One of his books I still can't find or get, and he can't even get it for me. So again, yay, academic publishing. Good job, guys. What the fuck? No shade to all you academics out there. We love you. Love you, Dan. But you all know that you're the ones who started bitching about this stuff, and we're just following suit because we're like, okay, it's time to complain. Let's go. Yeah, so his work on Simon Magus and the Essenes was interesting. But the stuff, mostly I've stayed focused on his aspects of understanding theosis and divinification. You know what I mean? You know the thing, man. It's been a long day. I was making all these edits and building all these videos and setting up the new laptop and shit. So
yeah, you go hard in the paint with the production. Somebody in the chat said before, they're like, I really love watching these magic infomercials. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, why not? It's fun. Post-human transformation that's the book. It's a great book. Everyone needs to read that book like now. Well, no, do the Hermetica first, because then you'll be more grounded when you read it. Otherwise, that book could be maybe ungrounding because you'll be like, oh my God, I just need to go to the beach and eat donuts. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I have to take my dog out and go to bed because we're getting close to I'm heading towards 11 o'clock. This was fantastic. It kind of looks like I'm flying, right? Like I have wings.
Last comment from Dan Atrell. You want to read it, Ike?
Yeah, that was in part the intention, lol, to follow Litwa's Hermetica 2 and focus on the medieval reception. Project's been in the works for half a decade now. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. Fantastic. I'm really glad you're here in the chat with us, Dan. You should come on this show eventually if you want. If you got time. I know you got dad duties and things like that, but come on. Gentlemen, I have a deep love and affection and respect for you both, and take care.
Cheerio, everybody. Thanks. It's been a great night. We'll be back next month for much more fun and games. And we will leave you, of course, with this one little thing that we're all a part of. So check this out.
The Arcane Research Society returns to bring esoteric scholarship and practice in 2026 with 2 major events held in Austin, Texas. Register for an annual membership and attend online or in person all of our annual events, including June 13th, our spring workshop, and November 6th through 8th, EnokiaCon, our full esotericism conference. The ARS Spring Workshop features 3 workshops led by Jason Louv, Craig Williams, and Frater RC. Spend a whole day in downtown Austin, Texas, enjoying these hands-on deep dives with experts in their fields. Register today for all live events included with ARS annual membership, Spring Workshop, and EnokiaCon, which features too many amazing presenters to name. Sign up today at arcaneresearchsociety.com.
Slanchawa, EOI, thanks for being here, everybody. L.
Thank you. All right. See you later, everyone.
Wouldn't it be fun if we just kept talking for like 6 hours? Okay, good night. Have a good day, brother. Peace.
You too.